WrestleMania is this weekend. It is absolutely spectacular. It's a 2-night event this year, and Charlotte Flair joins us on the Herd Hotline. You can buy WrestleMania, by the way, on foxsports.com/WrestleMania, Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Ms. Flair, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time. Let's talk about WrestleMania for a moment. It's the biggest night on your guys' calendar. It is the night of the year that even people that aren't diehard or even casual wrestling fans are say, you know what, I'm going to check it out. This year, you guys are doing it over 2 nights. I think last year's WrestleMania, I watched it, was a shade over 6 hours. Is there a benefit in your mind of doing it 2 nights like this so you can really keep everyone's attention and energy for, 2, 3, 4 hours each evening?
I think so. I think it gives more talent opportunities to be on WrestleMania because that's the thing. It is one night before now, and a lot of people or a lot of talent miss out on the show. So I think, 1, it gets more talent involved, and then 2, it gives more time for some of the storylines that have been building because you don't have to squeeze it all in one night. So I think it's great from a talent perspective as well.
Charlotte, sorry to interrupt. This morning, I had Kofi Kingston on First Things First a few hours ago, and I talked with him about so much of his story, and he's not the only one, of so many of you WWE superstar story is your relationship with the fans, the way the fans pop when you come out there, and you can feel when you watch an event the energy the superstars get from the fans. There's no sport that's more connected to its fans than you guys, as we are all dealing with a new, hopefully temporary normal. How incumbent upon you superstars will it be to provide that energy in what is unprecedented circumstances, doing this from a mostly empty arena?
Well, I think that's what's making this WrestleMania so special is as a performer, I'm going, okay, how can I prove to the millions watching at home that you're invested and believing in the story I'm trying to tell emotionally and physically? And I know for my story personally, like when I first started, I had to tune out the fans. But I actually pretended that they weren't there just because I was dealing with, trying to prove that I just wasn't here because of my last name. And or if you're doing promos, which is like in the middle of the ring talking on the mic, the fans want to get you off track or distract you. So to me, whether the fans are there or not, I'm still thinking about the millions at home and proving that I'm going to have the best match of both nights. And when you watch a fight scene on a movie, there's not an audience, but you're just as invested. And that's what I want to prove, that you can be just as invested without the bonus of a live audience. And yes, it's fun to watch the reactions of the kids and the grandparents and the parents, but to me, this is a test to show just how talented you are. And if you think about it, this possibly could be the most watched WrestleMania of all time because there's no sports programming right now. And somehow the company was able to pull it off, and I couldn't be more proud of us.
I remember listening, and by the way, we're joined obviously by 10-time world champion Charlotte Flair, and the first woman to ever headline a WrestleMania, which was last year's WrestleMania, alongside Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. I remember listening to an interview years ago with Jimmy Johnson, the race car driver. And Jimmy Johnson's won 7 or 8 Cup championships, their season-long title. But he talked about how winning his first Daytona 500 held a special place in his heart, even more so or different than the cumulative championship. Can you tell the audience about what, for you, your first time at WrestleMania was like, and maybe what type of advice you would give to some of the superstars that are making their WrestleMania debuts this weekend?
Absolutely. So for me, WrestleMania 32 was a little different in terms of that feeling, winning your first title. I had been crowned the NXT Women's Champion with my time in NXT, which is now our 3rd brand. And then when I debuted on the main roster, I actually won the Divas Championship, which I had the honor of retiring at WrestleMania 32. when I won the new debut title of the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Sorry, that was a mouthful. So for me, when I won the Divas Championship off of Nikki Bella, obviously I had all the athletic background and the wrestling skill, but I did not know what it meant to be a star. So I did not feel ready when I won that Divas Championship. But at WrestleMania 32, when I won the new title that we were debuting to start the new era of women's wrestling, I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And I'm the perfect woman to do it. Because I had built that confidence and that, I guess, growth as a talent, learning what it meant to be a star. And that was actually more important than my athletic ability. Yes, that helped. But so at WrestleMania 32, it was just that gratification. And when I held that title for the first time and raised it over my head, I was like, I knew I was the right woman. When I won that Divas Championship, I was so unsure of myself. So it was just having that feeling of accomplishment. And for talent having their first WrestleMania, my biggest thing is, especially my opponent, Rhea Ripley, the NXT Women's Champion, is it should not matter whether you're performing in front of one person or 101,000 people like I did at AT&T Stadium. It's just as important to entertain the millions watching at home. And they should not take this as, oh, well, it's not the same as being in a stadium. No, it's the exact same, because this is what we work towards every day, is towards WrestleMania every year. It's almost like our season starts all over again that Monday after Mania. So it's just such an opportunity, I think, and especially, like I said earlier, this year with no sports programming. So people who might not even know anything about WWE, or, people that don't follow but always do turn into WrestleMania, it's almost even more reason to.
If I may, I want to dive into your backstory just a bit, because there are certain industries that are kind of family businesses. Policemen very often are the kids of policemen. My dad was a fireman for 40 years, and I think a lot of people when I was growing up assumed, well, Nikki, I guess, I shouldn't have said that. That's what the men called me. We'll go be a fireman one day. But I knew at a relatively young age, I ain't got that in me. Like, I'm not wired for that. Your dad, obviously, is Ric Flair, arguably the most important wrestler of all time, certainly on the Mount Rushmore. But you were a superstar, I think, volleyball player, if I remember correctly. At what age did you know, or did you start to truly consider, maybe this is where I'm going to go, especially because when you were growing up, there were, of course, women wrestlers, but they weren't walking alongside the male superstars they are now. So can you kind of, I know you've told this story before, for the audience who hasn't heard it, when did you realize this might be for you, and take us along that journey?
Oh, man. So I didn't grow up watching wrestling. I did not grow up having a WWE superstar that was my favorite. I mean, I love my dad. I love watching my dad, but I could care less about the industry. I played lots of sports, chose volleyball in high school to play in college, but it was my two brothers that, wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps. And I tell people this all the time when I had the opportunity to do Q&As, but it's never too late to change your path. And I was, I think, 27 when the Four Horsemen were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which was April of 2012. And I was sitting at dinner with my dad, my little brother, and one of the WWE producers. And the producer looked at me and was like, hey, why aren't you doing this? And like I said, I was 27. I'd already graduated with personal training, didn't really know what I was doing with my life, to be honest. And I think he said it to me to kind of upset my little brother, because my little brother had been trying for years to get into the company. So it was more to ignite his flame, I guess you could say. So I was like, I don't know. And my little brother was like, yeah, you got to do this. You got to do this. Come on, we can do it together. So that was in April of 2012. I reported to NXT, which it used to be our developmental system, which is now actually our third brand. I reported in July of 2012, had no idea what I was doing. Just I don't know. I don't know why I was like, okay, I'll do this. I mean, I never even compared myself to women like Trish Stratus, Lita, Stacy Keibler, Beth Phoenix, Kelly. Like, I just didn't. The role of women was much different when I was growing up. But when I got there, I fell in love with the company. But my little brother passed away. And when my little brother passed away, just something changed inside me. And I just said I was going to continue his dream. So I think most people think it was because of my dad, but really it was because of my little brother. And I don't think I'd be where I am today had he not inspired me to continue his dream. And I don't know, it's just the craziest thing. Like, I started almost 7 years ago, and here I have main evented WrestleMania, which my dad never did. And one of the, I guess, leading women of this evolution. I don't know. My whole life changed. Like, I was scared of my own shadow when I started in this business. And now I just, like, I don't know. It's just when you find something that, I don't know, like, I never was like, I loved volleyball, but nothing that ever, like, I don't know, man. It's the craziest thing. Like, I don't know how I ended up here, but I did.
It's an awesome story. It's a great story. And I really, really appreciate you sharing it with us, because I know it involves, you know, some personal tragedy in there as well. But it is an inspirational story threefold. One is for young people out there in their 20s not figuring out where they want to be. A lot of us were there, and you can get to where you need to be. The other one is you went from starting in 2012 to the top of the industry by 2018 that quickly. And the third takeaway for me personally is you're saying there's still time for me to go become a fireman. So I got some real thinking to do after this. Charlotte Flair, enjoy WrestleMania.
It's crazy. Yeah. Thank you.
It's a great story. Enjoy WrestleMania this weekend. Good luck again. FoxSports.com/WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's a great spot, Charlotte. I really, really appreciate the time.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.